guys see this well with the dark background? Maybe not. Can we see the screen well? Wait. Test. 1, 2. Wait. Okay, good. Oh, wait. So let me stop the thread. There we go. Maybe you should turn off the first row of lights. That might be a little easier. Is it coming here? No. Unfortunately not. Can the student sitting next to the door try the switches there and see if we could turn off the first row of light? There we go. Perfect. Better? Maybe? Well, I think most of you have your laptops with you, so it should be relatively easy for you to just also look at your smartphone or laptop screen. Good. As usual, we start with a few announcements. First is this. Lecture, episode number 3 will be streamed right here, which I just started. Okay. Similarly, in the future, the lecture video live streams will also be posted here, such as it's being connected to the video page, okay, from the course website. Number 2, gentle reminder. PA number 1 will be doing this Saturday, 6 p.m. To begin with PA1, you do need the team number. There are 2 seats here. And it's already said, and it's available here from this link. Okay. If you click into it, it should be like the team list with your names. If I misspell or displace the names to the student IDs, feel free to let me know. Okay. There's something else that's also gentle, which is a gentle heads up. Okay. Quiz number 2 and 3 will be due also this Saturday, 6 p.m., which you don't quite know yet, okay, what quiz 2 and 3 are. Okay. But I want to draw your attention to this. Okay, there will be 2 slight changes in how we submit or post quiz solutions. First change is this. There will be 1 channel per quiz. Okay, previously, I actually set it so that we have 1 channel each week. But I find that it's a little bit hard to respond to your solutions, okay, with some comments. If we have quizzes as a message and all of us reply to the quizzes submitting the solution, then I will have trouble commenting on individual team solution. All right? So here's how the change is. 1 quiz, 1 channel. And so for week number 2, at least there'll be 2 quizzes. So I'm not sure if we will go to quiz number 4, but for now, quiz 2 and 3. There's 1 channel for each. So this is week number 2 and quiz 2, as well as week number 2, quiz 3, okay, we'll be doing. So each of these quizzes during this week, channels are created. Secondly, instead of replying to the quiz picture, please just post your solution as a message in that channel, and that's all. If you go here to week 2, quiz 2, you see that Polly is demonstrating. This is the quiz 2 question with the pic, and Polly demonstrating here, okay, showing what is the revised way of, okay, so you guys are already here. Oh, there's a monkey here. Okay. 2 monkeys, good, very interesting. Love that. Okay, sweat. There's a slight change in posting your quiz solution. All right, type your solution up like Polly is doing here. Okay, so it's an individual message. So you guys post your solutions by doing something here. Instead of saying reply. Okay, so let's just make sure that we don't. All right, okay, somebody is pondering. Thinking faces, good. Yeah, so originally, what is that? Wadi? What is so passionate about this icon? Okay, so somebody explained to me, maybe off class. Originally, I had you guys replying to the quiz pig, right? Yeah, but I discovered that I would not be able to comment to your solutions individually. If I reply, it just goes to the end, and you're not quite sure which one I'm replying to. All right. So this way we could have a little more direct interaction. All right. All right. So that's the change. I think you get the idea. Number 4. Just a little bit more about the PAs. Good to know that some of you are actually progressing way faster than I was expecting. Okay, and I know that some of you have already started PA2. Good for you. Okay, and starting from PA2, things get a little bit complicated. Okay, so starting from PA2, the process can be a little bit tricky. Know that there are also these walkthrough videos from the courses video page. I'm sorry, from the assignment page. So that's where also you get the the P assignments PDF. Okay, but the PDF is actually written form. It could be a little bit hard to comprehend. Okay, so in case the PDF description is not exactly easy to follow, you can always go to the videos and go through. Okay, watch the video through. And there's a very important trick I need to make sure that you guys know about watching the videos. There's speed up options. So if you would like the video to go faster, what do you do with that? How do you do that on YouTube? Yeah, there's this wheel, right? Gear wheel option there. Just click there and choose 1.5 speed or 1.25 speed. Okay, if all you want is just to see my action, I think 2 times speed it will just also work. Okay, so in those videos you will see me demonstrating, okay, doing things. So sometimes written form is not the perfect way of communication. Just like I know that video is not always the best form for communication. Okay, and usually so starting from last week, I managed to figure out how to kind of schedule a live video sessions, and I'm gonna just do that for all the subsequent lectures. And this is the team list. Good. Any questions at this point about the course in general? If not, maybe I can take you here. For example, PA1. You see, some of you guys asked questions already, and I provided some solutions. And I think for many of you, some of these exchange of Q&As will be helpful. You see a case already here in PA2. Yeah, I think Jingyuan started, where is Jingyuan? Are you here? Okay, so you're probably out there on YouTube. Sorry, I didn't, meant to single you out. So I had a long exchange with Jingyuan over the weekend, and he has already started working on PA2. And there's some issues that he ran into, and I kind of helped him walk through the process. And I thought that it would be nice to share it. But the thing is that if you have a private conversation with me, it's a little bit hard to transfer the conversation, okay, to the public open space here. Okay, so if you don't mind, feel free to post questions right there. If it's related to PA2, just post it to PA2. Related to PA3, post it to PA3. If it's very general, just go here. There's a channel called Ask Us Anything. Polly will be happy, okay, to answer the questions there. And as a result, we share with the whole class. So some of the students who don't need to ponder, right? And struggle whether I should ask Polly about this or should I, try it a bit more. Okay. Um, if you recall in the admin slides, Polly has a bias about open source. You probably heard about this term, right? Open source. What does that mean? I openly share my intelligence. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, intelligence can sometimes transfer to $sign. But usually, when you are more openly sharing it, the value of your knowledge was more $signs. Okay, that I can tell. Second is that, hey, this is teaching, right? It's a course setting. So there's nothing wrong of sharing openly anything. And by the way, did I mention that there's no shame at all? No shame at all. Okay, try to make a fool of yourself. Okay, Polly makes a fool of herself all the time. Okay, there's no stupid questions. You'll see that I always say love, lots of love. Okay. Okay, so Polly is definitely not the best teacher, but I do have a lot of love to give. Okay, so let's just openly talk about things. That usually helps. Good, so openly sharing, openly sourcing the questions and answers. Good. Now we can finally start with the, okay, let me move this aside. With the videos today. Oh, and before we start with the videos, let me quickly recap, because we already played the video about this. This is the overview of the internet, particularly the component view, the physical component view. Okay, and so the picture on the right is a very concise version of internet, or a very coarse grain of internet. Okay, you see that towards right of the side, global ISP. Okay, that's actually very close to the center of the internet. Regional ISP, slightly lower. And then surrounding these ISPs, we have mobile network, home network, institutional networks. And if you pay attention, at these mobile home institutional networks, we have these PCs, smartphones, laptops, or servers. Okay, if you look at this guy here, right? These are servers. Okay, these square cubics are servers, more powerful machines. So these are called the end systems. Okay? And these are where the users are. And then us, with our laptops, smartphones, access the internet through these things called the access network. Of course, a lot of times there are physical communication links or wireless communication links. Okay, but they are a very important part of the internet. Okay, you see, without access networks, hey, all of these end systems, okay, cannot be communicating with each other. And most importantly, we have the routers. Okay, these routers interconnecting with each other forms the core of the internet. Their functionality, however, is very simple, only to exchange packets, forward packets. Now, what we haven't talked about is the individual components. The end systems is relatively simple, okay? And you thought that PC, laptops, smartphones, the only type of end systems we'll see. But think again, there are other forms of end systems.
All right, so let me say a little bit more about the end systems with this slide. Laptop, PC, servers, smartphones. These are the things we typically use to connect to the internet. But nowadays, if you go to these electronic shops, if you go do a little bit shopping on the Amazon or PC Home, you see there are these generation of new things coming along, and they can all be connected to the internet. They're called these IoT, the Internet of Things. Yeah, things is a very general term because these things don't have a specific form. So they could be internet capable toaster, internet capable power meter, internet capable mattress, internet capable fridge. And this is a picture frame. Okay. So for example, Twitter watt. This is a smart meter that connects to the internet, and this meter can actually, take the reading and go on Twitter and tweet the reading itself. So you can imagine that the power company, power suppliers, energy suppliers can just, take the readings from Twitter without, taking a trip, okay, to your home. Smart mattress, right? So this mattress can sense how you sleep overnight and provide some feedback to you. This can further be made into something that's a little bit robotic, not just being capable of sensing, and so try to adjust the firmness of the mattress so that to ensure you have a good sleep. Smart fridge, I always like to have one of these. So it actually takes, there are cameras inside, so they take actually photos of the milk. So sometimes when I was, in the grocery shop, I would really like to know whether I should be buying milk today. So this smart fridge will be able to remind us, okay, when we're in the grocery shop, whether it's time, okay, to buy milk. Picture frame. I think this is one of the very, very old IoT device. It's connected to the internet, and it was using a way that, hey, so you guys can send recent pictures through these IP frames to your grandpa. So you give these IP frames as a gift to your grandma, and so that every day they kind of see different pictures from you. Now this one is Polly's favorite. It's a smart toaster. So what it does is that it will go on the web and retrieve the weather. Okay, and so when you're making the toast, you kind of burn the mark corresponding to the weather today. So as you're eating it, you know the weather seamlessly. Okay, without needing to check on the web. Nice, isn't it?
Don't you like it? Would you like one of those smart toasters? I really want to get one, but they don't sell it in the market. You see, this is a business idea already. And there are a lot of marks you can burn into these toasts. Wait, no, that's not the window I want to close. There we go.
And so those covers kind of all the components that's composing this very coarse-grained internet. But on top of the physical structure, there are also these rules, okay, that's controlling sending, receiving of the data, right? Such as, this is probably the third time that I talked about this term, TCP. HTTP is the protocol, the set of rules, okay, overwatching how you send data over the web. Yeah, so pretty much for each of the service, there is a specific protocol. For each type of service, for data transferring, there is a specific protocol. And so you see in general, the internet is a network of networks. So this is what? A network of a sub-network, right? So institution network is a network. Home network is a network. Global ISP forms a network. Regional ISP forms a network. And the internet is actually the bigger network of all these smaller networks interconnected each other. And it's loosely hierarchical. Why? If you look a little bit closer, yeah, this mobile network is connected to actually a higher tier ISP, while this home network and institution network is actually connected to a lower tier, a regional ISP. Okay, so it's not necessary that mobile network is, level 2 or level 3. Okay, in this case, it's actually level 2 at the similar level as the regional ISP if they share the global ISP. All right, so this is what I meant here. It's loosely hierarchical. Right?
Let me just add a little bit more here. So you see the mobile network towards the top. Yeah, it's actually second level from global ISP. But if you look at home and institutional network, what level are these? Yeah, exactly. Third. So even though mobile, home, and institution, they are actually at the very edge of the internet, but they could be at the different levels. So it's not strictly that all the edge are at level 3, level 4. No. Yeah, it's a little bit chaotic, I have to say.
And there are parts of the internet being public, okay, meaning everyone involved, okay, in the society, in that region, okay, they will try to donate and to take part in sort of contributing the expense of running that public part of the internet. But for most part of the internet, it's now private. So for NTU, an institutional network, to access the institution's ISP, usually we pay. Okay. Similarly, at home, you pay the ISP for access. Similarly, here, if you're using 4G, yeah, you pay someone to get access. So these, as long as you're paying, that means you're accessing a private network. Okay. There are occasionally public network, not a whole lot, but usually public network, the reason that we don't pay is because essentially we are contributing part of the work, okay, sharing part of the cost already, okay, by forming a consortium and paying a specific membership fee.
So there are very, very few public spots, okay, on the internet these days.
Now the service view. Okay. To explain, we've learned, right, the nuts and bolts that's composing the physical internet. That is the communication infrastructure to allow us to actually have these applications sitting at the very top at the first place. But the communication infrastructure on its own will not be allow us to send data really that freely. So we could do surfing, we could send emails to each other. Between the apps and the infrastructure, we still have a number of these communication services defined by these protocols, okay, that's running on each of the devices, running in these routers. Okay, so there's a software component, a service component there as well. Now, two major classes of services that are provided by the internet are these: reliable data delivery versus the unreliable data delivery. Okay, so internet, essentially, it's not just a physical infrastructure, but also an infrastructure with software support so that we could run all sorts of distributed apps on top of the whole thing. There's just one thing I want to clarify. For unreliable data delivery service provided by the internet, a lot of times we just call them the best effort service. Yeah, I know it's a little bit counterintuitive because reliable data delivery is obviously better than the unreliable data delivery. Okay, so why calling the unreliable service the best effort service? Yeah, take note here. We're saying this is best effort service. We're not calling it the best service. Yeah, this is a kind of a polite way of saying that, hey, there's no guarantee. If you recall cases where your friend's asking you for favors, but you know, are not, you know that you don't have time for it already. So a lot of times what you say to your friends, right, politely, is, I'll try my best. Okay, so that's what we meant here, calling these unreliable data delivery services the best effort services.
All right. Okay. For the exams coming in 2 weeks, please try your best. All right. So we kind of shift gear a little bit. Now talk more about the softer side of the internet with the service view introduction.
This is so that I can impress you more about this term protocol. It is a slightly more formal way of calling a set of rules, okay? Calling a standard way of parties communicating with each other, all right? So two very simple examples I'm giving, and as analogy to another. One on the left is a human protocol, okay? One asking for another person for information. The other is an internet protocol. One end system asking another end system for information. So you see here, very often when Alice wants to find out what is the time, she says hi, right? And then maybe a friend here catching, Alice needs a bit help. Bob says hi back, okay? Showing that, okay, what do you want to know? Alice says, have you got time? And Bob provided the information that Alice is looking for. Similarly, we as users might be sitting in front of a desktop using a web browser trying to get the content from this URL. So yeah, that browser sends a message to the web server that holds the content. And that server will say, sure, you got my attention. What are you looking for? Client sends, I'm looking for this page. And server sends back the content, okay, of that URL is indicating to. So that is a simple protocol in human world and in the computer world. To sum it up, a protocol, it can be a human protocol or a computer protocol. Okay, so that example you just saw is for Alice to ask Bob for a time, a client asking for a server for certain information, or for you to ask a question. For example, if you raise your hand, right, that's like you saying hi. And if Polly noticed that, Polly says, okay, good. What is the question? Then you start by asking the question, Polly answering the question. So that is the protocol to get a question answered. Okay, so for people first meeting each other, how do you introduce each self to each other? Yeah, so there are specific protocols that allowing human to communicate with each other. Okay, so they are usually involving specific messages and specific actions taken after the messages are received, right? And then so on and so forth, right? You know what? That's very similar in the computer network. Okay, and the parties involved are just simply replacing humans with machines. Okay, and so all these communications happening in the computer network, okay, are governed by these protocols, where we define messages being exchanged and the orders of them being exchanged, and the actions each of these computers, each of these entities, okay, need to take after receiving certain messages.
All right. And that takes us to the the second quiz, or the first quiz this week. Okay, so this is quiz number 2. So Polly does have this habit of reading newspapers, magazines, and random books. So there's one time, but back in 2013, I read this article, The Delicate Protocol of Hugging. For Asians, we don't do hugging. But for Europeans, Americans, it's actually quite subtle. Okay, if you didn't hug another person right. So essentially, it's complicated just to greet each other. So, for example, Americans like to hug. Latinos and Europeans, what they do is what? They would kiss each other on the cheeks. It's really tricky. I used to live in Switzerland for a while, and I thought that I touched the cheeks twice. No, 3 times. And I thought I'm done, and then face is coming in, and I was not sure what to do. Okay, so it turned out that the touching cheeks or kissing on the cheeks, oh, by the way, they don't really kiss on the cheek. It's more like touching cheeks and then smack a little bit. Okay, so it's not like, lips touching the faces. Okay, it's more like, as a gesture. Okay, um, so the reason that I thought I touched twice is because in California, okay, I have some Latino friends. Okay, and they do this cheek kisses and only 2 times. Okay, so implicit protocol, and it differs from region to region. And it differs also depending on the closeness of you to the friend. Okay, so sometimes I feel a little bit awkward doing this with guys, especially Asians. They would thought that, oh, I'm interested in them. Okay, but okay, it's a little bit subtle. Poly is a little bit westernized and a little bit open, so yeah. But for sure, in Japan, okay, they bow. Okay, and it's not just normal bowing. Okay, how do you bow to each other? Oh, when you see professors, you probably do this, right? Uh-huh. It's easy for us to do, but this is not the Japanese way. Okay, to Japanese, this is really impolite. Okay, would any one of you like to demonstrate Japanese way of bowing? No, no. Okay, then Polly demonstrate. Okay, hey, you need to hold your upper body stiff like this, and all the way 90 degrees. Okay, so this is what I learned when I was working in Japan. Okay, really serious. You have to mean it. So Japanese bows. Most of us, we probably just shake hands, but I'm not quite sure. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Now, general rule, I think, according to the article, is that to be polite, you kind of do whatever the others do to you. I know sometimes guys wait for ladies to take initiations because it will be less aggressive that way, a little more gentle that way. Okay, or guys do bow like this and waiting for the ladies to reach out. Generally, to be polite, you do as the others do. But the key word is that, hey, to greet each other, you want to show that you're kind and polite. Question in quiz 2 is this. How do you know if you should bow or shake hands or hug or do the kisses on other cheeks? How do you know? Okay. Good. So, hey, let's practice. Okay, teamwork. I hope your teammates are here. Okay. If not, look for them online. Okay, on YouTube. Talk to them. You do have 5 minutes. Strike a conversation and find out. How do you ensure that when you're greeting someone you don't know yet, okay, potentially international students, how you greet with these international students? Okay, think about it. Yeah, and for the guys online, feel free to type up your answers. I think on the live chat. Okay, if I can put this down a little bit. Hi, Jingyuan, you are here. Okay, good. Very good to know. Oh, maybe I should move back to the slide, right? Yeah. Very interesting. So how do you create an alien, for example? Alien. Vulcans? Vulcan? Any Vulcans out there? All right. Have you come to some sort of conclusion within the team? Or still debating, arguing? No, 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 that's not good. That's not polite. Or, yeah, I think just that. Any one of you would like to start? Or let me see if there's anyone online saying anything. Okay, not yet. Oh, by the way, Jingyuan is there. Jingyuan having a long conversation with me about PA2. What's there? Anyone wants to go first? No? Oh, good.
We think, first of all, we should meet how they want to greet ourselves. So maybe we can wait for around 2 or 3 seconds to see how she or he wants to do, and we just meet. And if we don't receive a response, we just ask him what kind of greeting he or she wants to do.
Wow, that's a very civilized way. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, which team are you?
3.
Team number 3. What is your name? Okay, I see your name. Okay, so Hongwen was saying that they will wait. Okay, wait for a little bit. Okay, if the other people they're meeting are not responding, then start talking. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. Okay, from where you're from, how do you greet each other? Right, so figure it out. Okay, having a conversation and then greet. Very interesting, very civilized way of doing it. Other different way.
I think maybe it depends on the knowledge that you know. Like if they know their culture, just do what you know. If not, try to observe what others are doing. For example, if someone just bent their body slightly, then we bow. If someone reach out their hands, then we shake. And if someone opened their arm trying to hug, then just if they stick out their head, then do this. And if they did nothing, just do as you wish.
Okay, good. Okay, similarly. More? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it? Okay. What team are you? Team number 1. And your name? I think I've recorded your name also from Slack. Okay, so I think it's a little bit similar. So wait a little bit and maybe observe. So slightly more advanced here. Observe, okay, how the other guys are behaving. Okay, If they are, leaning forwards, maybe they intend to bow. Maybe they are reaching the hands out. Maybe they are intending to shake hands. So you kind of observe their behavior and forecast what they will be doing next. Okay, cool. But you see, it's still tricky. There's once I'm trying to hug my friend, but I did not realize that she was a left-handed person, left-handed. So I reach out like this, and she was reaching out like this. And so we kind of bumping into each other. Okay, so it can still be a little bit hard. So hugging. Any other solutions? Student in the back.
All of the above, just to be sure.
Say it again.
Yeah, we try all of the above, just to be sure.
Okay, that's nice, right? Hugging and then kissing and everything. Cool. I love that. What team are you?
I think it's number 4.
Number 4. Name? Say it again. Chen Bo-jun. Cool. Any more? Any more of you would like to share? Okay, one more here.
We consider 3 cases. In case 1, we consider 2 persons. One we call A and B, and they come from A country and B country, but they are now located in country C. Then we use A or B method to greet. Next, we consider the 2 persons' social status. If A is higher than B, then use A country's method.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And case 2 is A person from A country, B person from B country, and we are now located in country B. Then we use B country's method.
I see. Wow, okay, so it's a very complex protocol. I have to say, I actually forgot exactly. But you see, it's actually rule-based, right? Consider 2 friends, A and B, coming from different regions. If they are in another country, then it should generally be fine either way. Okay, behaving A country's way, B country's way, or even C country's way. But there are more other cases. Could you type it up on Slack? Because hey, you guys have to do it. For the teams did not report publicly here, definitely post it on Slack. And I think I'm hearing some notification. I think some student wanted to say something on Slack. What team are you? 19. Okay. Name? Okay. Oh, hands in the back. Go ahead.
I think if I know which country he or she comes from, I can search on the internet. That way they very greetings and do that.
Yeah, definitely, right? You look it up. Okay, you look the background of the person you're meeting up first. Okay, so that's called 人肉搜寻, right? Is that right? Is that the right way to do it? 肉搜? No? Not exactly?
It's just normal searching.
Normal searching, definitely. Normal searching first, okay? Let's call it like background check. So do a little background check, and so that you know ahead of time before meeting the person. Wow, okay, so it's kind of prefetching, right? Get the information first. Great. And you are team number?
Number 8.
Number 8, name? James. All right, James. Very good. And let's check out. Oh, okay. Wait. Hold on. Let me check out Slack first, because I heard. Oh wait. Okay. We do also have some responses from YouTube. Let's see. Okay, Lu Yuanxiang says, ask directly how the other person is used to greeting. and then decide how to greet. Okay, so it's like team number 3, Cai Hongwen, right? So just ask. That's great. Very straightforward. And Jingyuan was saying, ask where she is from, ask them to wait a second, and Google immediately how they greet to each other. Google immediately. Okay, then you must be typing really fast. Okay, and I heard Slack. Let me see, quiz number 2. Oh, okay, good. Youde here, representing team 8. Oh, wait. Oh, James, so you're Yu Jianxuan. Okay, good. Good to finally see you in person. And where's the monkey emotion? How did you get that? Search? Oh, really? Monkey? Oh, there is. Oh, nice. How cute. Okay, and Junting here. Oh, this is team 1. So you just you actually pop openly speaking about it. And let me see. Angela Wu is saying, oh, this is team number 6. We think the main factor is what country we are in. Okay, that's very insightful, right? Do as Romans do. Have you heard about the proverbs? And what the locals normally do. If we're in Taiwan, we'll just greet him or her or the alien in the Taiwanese manner, definitely. Like waving to them and say hello. But seriously, how do you greet each other? How do Taiwanese greet each other? Like this? Hi. What's up? Yo. Okay, I think so. Oh, I love that. Unicorn. So, unicorn? Oh, okay, cool. Nice. Jia Hong from Team 5. Okay, Pei. Okay, good. So you guys do have ideas. All right. So next time, try speaking up a little bit earlier. Good. So let's now come back to the lecture. Okay. So good to have your input. And so this is just to wrap up.
Now to wrap up. What have we seen so far? Yeah, we do have these hosts or end systems where we run applications. They are sitting at the very end, very edge of the network. And these end systems connects to the internet through the access networks or communication links. They can be wired or wireless, okay, and through different kind of physical technology, physical media technology. And then finally, reaching the core of the internet, okay, which are essentially interconnected routers. Okay. And with all these together, we see the internet is a loosely hierarchical network of networks. All right, so this is the internet.
Okay, and quiz number 2 here is to let you know that you are already designing protocols yourselves. You see, given a problem, you try to come up with a mechanism that address a communication problem. All right, good. So internet protocol, that's chapter 1.1. We take a break for 10 minutes. Okay, so it's now 2:08 according to the clock in the back. And we resume 2:18. Okay, so break. Guys over the internet, let's take a break. Okay, and come back in 10 minutes.
try to connect to the workstation.
Oh, okay.
So
Is this
CA1.
PA1? Okay.
Yeah. I tried to connect outside of the campus.
From outside?
Yeah. Using pollys, but there is a connection fault when I use SSD. But I can't find the reason that I get
SSH?
SSH. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, maybe you can demonstrate what you did there. If you are doing it from inside NTU, do you see that problem?
I get a connection error, not a delay.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay, still. So then it's probably not about VPN.
So I guess it's like
okay.
this.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
There.
Then
I see. Okay. The problem is that sorry about that. I think you probably download an earlier version of the PDF or the video. Okay, so let's break that connection for now. The actual IP address for this year is 221.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Let's see. But it's not responding though. It's still not responding. Okay, let me try to log in as myself in another way. Okay, works for me. You don't have like a key story. Okay, so works for me. Let me try. And CN16. Oh wait. Oh, working.
Okay. So it's just the way.
I think it's maybe somehow the syntax.
Okay. So I shouldn't use the way there is a small at key.
I think it's probably that symbol there.
Okay.
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 Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What's your name?
Steven.
Oh, okay. I think.
Yeah.
Should we still pass our
No. Okay. Yeah. So let me clarify that. You are team number 3.
Yes.
Right. So that way you've already completed. So you don't have to post it on Slack.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Good. Oh, and by the way, so for those who have already spoken, for example, team number 3, team number 1, 4, 19, and 8, if you have already openly speak about your solution, as well as those who typed up solutions on YouTube live stream, you don't have to go to Slack to input. Okay, again, just so that you know. And now you see, try to speak earlier. Otherwise, you will have to go to Slack and speak. So I think there was another student wants to say something there. I kind of suppressed. Okay. So 许元祥人、黄静人。
Sorry, I didn't hear that clearly. So if I talked in class earlier, I didn't need to type on Slack again?
No, you don't have to.
Okay, thank you.
And for those guys who are on the internet, how do you think about the quality of the live stream? Is it working for you? Okay, so type on comment or give me some feedback on the live chat. So things actually turned out okay. The number of students we have is roughly the classroom, and plus the students preferring tuning in remotely. Great. All right, good to know. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Jingyuan, and thank you, Shuyu. I don't know about you guys. So I suppose those of you who are sitting here prefer to attend physically, right? Okay, it's time. Let's try to resume, and we'll start from chapter 2.1.
Let's take a closer look into each of the components. And starting from the edge. So essentially, we have lots of these end systems running applications at the edge. Two very dominant examples, web and email. So for example, this guy here, a laptop. This guy here, a server. Okay, usually server are higher end machines having more computation power or higher amount of storage. So web browser will be talking to a web server requesting for a web page. Okay, so that is called client-server model application, where the client requests for services and receive services from the server. And you see that the expectation of these servers are that they run all the time, 24/7. And that's why these servers need to be higher end machines, having more computation power, having higher amount of storage, and have more reliable internet connection. Okay, so as we mentioned, web browser here, web server here. Now, some of the pairs could be running email. Then you have email client, which is typically the email reader, and then there'll be email server. So these email servers usually you don't get your hands on. Okay, you don't see them. Just like the web server, you don't typically see a machine. Okay, physically that is a web server. There's another way of communicating the end systems, the applications running on the end system, that is called the peer-to-peer model. Okay. The idea there is to get away without this, always on server. Now, imagine, right? Setting up a web server yourself and allowing thousands and maybe millions of clients in the world to access your web server. You do need a lot of what? Money, right, to maintain it. But some applications might be more grassroots effort, where you don't want to be able to afford servers and yet you still want to be able to exchange data. Yeah, that is what the designers of these peer-to-peer applications are thinking. Let's minimize the use of high-end dedicated servers, and instead, why don't we, right, smartphone, laptops, desktops, laptops, just connect directly as peers, one to another. So there do exist several of these peer-to-peer applications. Skype is one example. BitTorrent, I'm sure that some of you have used it before, is a very dominant example. It's still very popular now. And besides these two, there's one example that you might go, oh yeah, that's right. It's called the Bitcoin or cybercurrency. So that blockchain allowing the cybercurrencies to track itself is a peer-to-peer network. So there's no particular server. That is the whole idea of having these virtual currencies. Okay? Instead of having a central bank to overlook everything, to track, record everything, to monitor any of the currency exchange, virtual currency, Bitcoins, it's completely distributed. It's peer-to-peer.
Yeah, and actually the ancestors of these peer-to-peer applications is this guy here, Napster. Have you heard about this? No, never? Google it up. It's the ancestor of all these peer-to-peer model services. So the creator of Napster was thinking about, oh, I have all these CDs in like as physical CD, okay, and there are lots of music on there, on the CDs, and how he can exchange these musics with his friends. So he actually implemented Napster here and uploaded all the music and started sharing musics with the friends. And the friends sharing their music with Napster's author. Okay, so I think there's a rising trend of people building application services in this P2P model. I don't know about you guys. There's actually one more. chances low that you been there, but you probably have heard about it. Tor. If you have heard about Tor, raise your hand. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a dark space. It's a different world, the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension. Uh, it's where the hackers or people who like to remain anonymous go to. If you go on the store, you might be able to find a lot of other free softwares, okay, which can be very enabling. So guys online, have you heard about Tor? Okay, let me know. Look it up as well, Tor, T-O-R.
Now let's move a little bit inward and talk about the next component, access networks. We know by now access nets are there to connect the end systems to the edge routers. What we haven't talked about are that there are several of these access net technologies. In fact, in the next few slides, Polly is going to talk about 5 of these. And depending on where they are used more often, they are classified into these 3 categories: residential, institutional, and mobile. Residential meant home access. So some of these access net technologies are used more at home, deploy more for home environment. Some of these are used more for institutions such as NTU. And some are wireless, okay, so people can still access internet as they're on the run. For example, 4G is a mobile access network. Now, as Polly gets into the details and talk about each of these access net technology, try to pay attention to the bandwidth each of these technologies promises. Some of them offer higher amount of bandwidth, some lower amount, and some offers symmetric amount of bandwidth between downlink and uplink, but some offers more downlink and less uplink. Pay attention also to how the access net is being used among the users. Some access nets give you this amount of bandwidth, but all the users accessing the network will share the bandwidth. So if there are more users, each one gets a smaller cut. But some technologies actually, offer big bandwidth, and that access net will actually allocate a specific amount to each of the users. So each of the users will be guaranteed a specific amount, which is dedicated. Okay, and if there are more users, none of the existing users will suffer.
All right, so next we talk about each of these 5 access nets. So this is going to take a little while. Let's see.
The first technology is called the DSL, Digital Subscriber Line. This is pretty much a legacy technology, which is building on top of yet another almost legacy technology called the telephone network. So let me draw your attention to the example at the top. Where the telephone network is, starting from here, the phone set, okay, where you make a phone call. So the signal is going to travel through the phone wire to the hub on the wall. There are lots of also wires behind the wall, connect you through the central hub in the building and then out on the streets. And there are quite a few cables buried underground, especially for Taipei City, and those cables take the phone calls to the central office. And inside the telephone company, there are these switches. They're switching the phone calls, and eventually the phone call reaches a friend that you're calling to. So this is the telephone infrastructure, and it has been there since, I think, late 19th century. But starting, I think, late 20th centuries, we want to do this. Okay, generating emails from our home PC and send that to a friend somewhere else, okay, connected also to the internet. Now, to allow this phone PC, a home PC, to connect to the internet, we borrow the telephone infrastructure, particularly the cables and the wires we have in the buildings under the street, so that we could send the data somehow to the central office of the data network providers here. And the way it works is this. Let's assume we're sending an email to a friend. So that email is going to go and reach the DSL modem first. So DSL is the name of the technology. Modem here is actually modulator and demodulator. Okay, the first few letters combined. So what it does is, hey, email coming from your PC is in digital form. It's going to be converted to the analog form, so it can go on this cable here and multiplex potentially with analog phone calls coming from the phone set. So these together can travel the cables and reach the central office of the service provider. And by the way, very oftentimes the telephone service provider is also an internet service provider. Now, once they reach the central office, this big box, DSLAM, it's DSL, I think access multiplexer, okay, whatever it's called. What the functionality of this yellow box is simply, first, split the analog signals. Some of those could be analog voice for the telephone network. It will go on this way. Some of those are for the internet. It will go on the other way. And before this analog signal can go out to the edge server, DSLAM also demodulate the signal from analog back to digital so that it can travel the digital data network. You can imagine vice versa. Your friends send an email back through the edge router and reach the big yellow box, and that email gets converted to the analog form and multiplexed with the phone calls together, traveling the cable, and finally reaching the household. First, go through the splitter. If it's phone call, go this way. If it's internet data, go this way. Now, at this point, the internet data is still in analog form, so modem here demodulate from analog signal to digital, and therefore you get to read your friend's response.
Ouch.
Now, if you think a little bit more about the yellow box, what it does is essentially what the blue and the green box are doing combined. Modulating and demodulating.
Looks like something is burned.
Multiplexing and demultiplexing. What is a little bit tricky there is so that how do we do the modulation right, and how do we do the multiplexing so that the voice and the digital data will not interfere with each other. And that is done and achieved by splitting the frequencies of the EM carriers. So how we are sending data
So let me pause a little bit. I think that over the internet, you guys are probably seeing something similar. Let me see. No, actually it's clean for the guys at the remote sites. So maybe our projector is dying, I guess. Okay, that's something that I need to share with the department staff. Let me reconnect the cable and see if it's just, contact issue. Let's see. Disconnect and connect again. Oh no, it's even worse. No, don't die on me, please. Sorry, I seem to be stressing all these devices, equipments I have here by doing this hybrid lecture mode. Let's see. Maybe it's my converter here. Please. Oh no, still pinkish, right? Yeah, still pinkish. Oh, but less is pink, right? It's, lightly burned. So maybe it's because of my converter here. Let me adjust the angle. Okay. Okay, so I think this is bearable. So let's go on.
In analog or digital form is that we are modulating these signals onto the EM wave carriers. So we modulate the analog voice to this frequency band of the carriers, and upstream data to this frequency band, downstream data to this frequency band. And they are mutually exclusive, therefore they won't be interfering with each other. Okay, so phone is going through the 0 to 4K hertz frequency band, and upstream data 4K to 50K hertz, downstream data 50K hertz to 1 megahertz. So you see that the downstream data is using a wider frequency band, and so not surprising. Upstream bandwidth only 1 megabits per second, and downstream we get 8 megabits per second. The last about DSL is this link here. Yeah, this is one link per household. This is very dedicated, okay, between the central office to the user.
So I'm pretty sure this is projective. Yeah, because it's analog change there. Okay, so that I have to communicate with department staff. So we'll just have to hope that the projector will remain alive till we're done. And next is the next access network technology, the cable modem.
And the second access net is cable modem. A little bit similar to DSL, it's also for residential access. And unlike DSL, which is exploiting the telephone infrastructure, cable modem there uses the cable TV infrastructure. Yeah, you see, we also have lots of wires behind the walls leading to a central office, leading to the cable company. That's how
it looks like a screensaver, right? Fractal.
Receive the TV programs. So, cable modem here, exploit that existing infrastructure. What's nice about the cable modem is this. The bandwidth available, it's also asymmetric, where you see the downstream bandwidth and the uplink bandwidth different. In cable modem, wow, lots of downstream bandwidth, 30 megabits per second, but very limited upstream bandwidth, only 2 megabits per second. If you judge based on only the amount of downlink and uplink bandwidth from cable modem and compare it to DSL, you'll see, whoa, cable modem wins, obviously. Yeah, for DSL, this is only 8, and this is only 1. But you want to be careful, though. These cable fibers attaching household to the cable company, they are share access links. Unlike DSL, these telephone wires are dedicated access. That is saying, oftentimes a cable company will set big cables, center cables from the center office to a neighborhood. And there's going to be a splitter that splits TV programs and across hundreds and maybe thousands of households. Yeah, if you use cable modem, sending data, your data and all your neighbors' data will be multiplexed on that cable and to the central office. That cable there is not dedicated, it's shared. So even though the bandwidth is higher, but you can be competing potentially with all your neighbors. And it really depends on how many people are subscribing to the cable modem service in your neighborhood. That determines really the quality of your internet access. To illustrate, let me show you this example where we're connecting hundreds and thousands of households together through one major pipe to the cable company. And inside the cable company, you see often lots of these video servers, and stored on these video servers are the TV programs. So the cable head will stream these videos down this way. Gets split here, 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 here. Okay, depending on what each of the household is requesting. Okay. Occasionally also from the household, there could be some control messages being sent, for example, to switch channels. Okay, for example, to turn the TV program off. Now, if you have the cable modem installed at home, the infrastructure is going to look a little bit more extended, but most of the extensions are inside the household as well as in the central office of the cable company. Yeah, I know. If you look at this picture here, you see, very familiar, right? Just like DSL. If there's signal coming in, the splitter here will check. If it's TV program, it will go on this way. If it's data, internet data, it will go on this way. And the cable modem will convert it to the format that's readable from our PC, and therefore you read the message from your friend. And similarly going out the other way, right? So your message will go out from the household and through the shared pipeline to the cable company. And inside the cable company, there's this big multiplexer and modulator that's doing the right thing so that your internet data goes on to the rest of the internet. Okay, and your friend sees your message. Now, be careful here. There's only one cable here. If there are messages coming from this other household or this other household, they will all get merged onto this cable. Now these messages coming from the household, they will share the same channel and compete for the bandwidth there, unfortunately. Another thing that you might find surprisingly similar between cable and DSL is this: how we are multiplexing the original infrastructure networks data as well as internet data. And this is how cable modem is doing it. These first few channels are video, data, and last one, control. The channel towards the left, lower frequency. The channel towards right, higher frequency. So essentially what you're seeing is that the entire frequency band allowed on a cable network are divided into some subbands. Okay, so 1 to 6 are for videos, which are the TV programs. 7A in this example are for the internet data. And then these control messages, such as switching to a different channel to a different TV program, is only just one subband, right? And so they kind of run on frequency subbands that are not overlapping, completely separated, so that they would not be interfering with each other. Okay? So that technique is formally called frequency division multiplexing. Okay? So we kind of cut the entire frequency band into non-overlapping subbands, division over frequency, hence the name.
So that was cable modem. The third kind of important these days.
Fiber to the home. This is the third access net technology. unlike the previous two, where we kind of exploit certain existing infrastructure, telephone network or cable TV network, this one here builds its own network. And because the cable are all optic fibers, so it's called a optic network. And it's essentially the internet service providers, if they want to allow users to access internet using FTTH, they will have to go out there and build these optic links into the civil infrastructure. So there are physical contact, okay, through some cables between the central office to home. And so you see in this example, it's very clean between the central office to each household, just optic cable, optic cable. Right. The only slight complication and boxes that are a little unfamiliar to you are these. First, optical line terminal. Optical line terminal. So this is a dummy device. What it does is just to collect signal and then convert them into digital bits. Okay, so that these internet data can go on natively through the edge router and out to the internet. Now, what's a little bit more interesting is this box, the optic splitter. We've seen this term, splitter, the third time. Yeah, at the physical level, these splitters are essentially the forwarders or the switchers. Okay, so signals gets forwarded to the right destination at this point. And signal gets multiplexed also so that they can go on further upstream. Okay, so splitter plays the role of demultiplexing signals so that it reaches a particular household, or multiplexing signals so that it goes to the central office. So its role is a little bit like the routers or switches at the core of the internet. So optic splitter here is a very important device for the optical network. In this example, we see that there's only one level of it. In practice, there could be multiple levels, so that you could have a regional optical splitter, and then you could have another splitter here inside the building in case there are multiple households in your building, okay, also subscribing to the optical service. Now, these splitters, depending on the mechanism that's running in it, okay, depending on the design, could work differently. Okay, so two typical architecture for these splitters are these, PON and AON. So passive optical network. What it meant is that what's being done here is very straightforward. You just have mirrors so that you can reflect signals so that they go on the right direction to the destination. There's no signal amplification. But if you use active optic network splitter, yeah, these signals get splitted and amplified before they get passed on further. That is very necessary in case there are multiple levels of splitters along the way. As a signal, as it travels longer distance, even though it's optic signal, is still decaying. Okay.
And allow me to add here, passive versus active is one more distinction which is very important. Passive one does not require power. Active one, power. So passive one a lot of times just mirrors reflecting lights, and so incoming signal gets flooded to all the outgoing links. Okay, and it's up to the ONT, the terminal, to decide whether this is really data for me or TV programs for me. All right, so the passive one, very cheap, low cost, without need of plugging into power, convenient, but it's not that powerful. If it's this huge citywide infrastructure, it will only work at a specific location. For example, at the building, in the building, to split signals to different levels, to different households.
In FTTH, yeah, the downstream or upstream bandwidth vary, but essentially the maximum capacity is much higher than the cable modem network, than the DSL network. Okay. In Taipei, very typical, you subscribe to services as downlink 100 megabits per second, uplink 40 megabits per second. Okay. If you have special need, for example, if you are hosting web servers, then you might subscribe to 100 megabits per second downlink and 100 megabits per second uplink as well. Okay, so it can be symmetric, it can also be asymmetric in terms of the bandwidth in going in different directions. So essentially much higher rates, and it really depends on how much you can afford, right? And nowadays, these fibers can also carry telephone or television services. Okay, think about video on demand. So that is to carry TV programs through FTTH. And digital phone, okay, IP phones are one example. The trend is going towards let's just move to FTTH and then abandon the older legacy technology such as telephone, such as cable TV. So all content, including data, are transmitted over the one and only internet. One ring to rule them all.
Where do you think that Polly picks up the reference? One ring to rule them all. Okay, so actually things are united inside internet. 4G is actually internet native. It's not going through these cellular networks anymore. That's why 4G bandwidth is much higher than 3G. Well, we don't have time to talk about mobile wireless network too much, but you see that the trend is going. Everything goes on the internet. Now there are two more network access technology. This fourth one, very common and very simple.
The fourth network access technology is Ethernet. Now this is something that we're very familiar with. All we need to do is to purchase one of these Ethernet switches, connecting our computer through the Ethernet cable to it, and this guy is connected to the edge router. Then data can go out and in from the internet. Such a network access is typically used in companies and universities, okay, as they have direct access to the edge router. For households, we usually don't have access directly to the ISP's edge routers, okay? So even though you're trying to connect your end systems through Ethernet cable to a switch, but that doesn't mean your access network is that Ethernet you're using. Be careful. Now, the rate these Ethernet switch is operating goes from 10 megabits per second 10 years ago all the way to nowadays 10 gigabits per second. But I think typically people use an Ethernet switch at this speed, 1 gigabits per second. And nowadays it's actually dedicated upstream 1 gigabits per second and downstream also 1 gigabits per second. 10 gigabits per second Ethernet is a little bit limited, and only those companies who are, for example, hosting a lot of data, then they need 10 gigabits per second Ethernet, particularly video providers.
Straightforward. Yeah, so I'll explain in, I think, 2 videos down, what is exactly your access net, even though you're connecting your computers to
This is the last access technology. It's called the wireless access. That's just how I refer to both of these wireless access technologies in a general term. Okay, the common characteristic is that all the devices, okay, on the same channel will share access. So the way it works is this: devices sending wireless signals. It's picked up by the wireless base station and then passed on to the edge server and then further on to the internet, and vice versa. So these base stations, in the context of Wi-Fi in particular, are also called the access points. Now a little bit more about Wi-Fi. AL2.11b or G, this is actually a pretty old standard. I'm pretty sure that all of us are using AL2.11 at least N. Okay, so that's Wi-Fi generation 4 in another way. The bandwidth with Wi-Fi generation 4 is already close to 400 megabits per second. Okay, and the frequency band is no longer just 2.4 gigahertz, but also the 5 gigahertz band. Okay, that's why when you purchase a new Wi-Fi AP, you see that, hey, a lot of times when you set it up, you see 2 channels, one for 2.4 gigahertz, the other for the 5 gigahertz. The next major generation is Wi-Fi 6, which operates also on both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz for backward compatibility, in case you're still running AL2.11b or G. For Wi-Fi 6, the bandwidth actually go up this high, 900 and plus megabits per second. Really nice. I think in the next generation, that's called the AL2.11AD. Yeah. For this version of Wi-Fi, it's gonna operate at this frequency band, 60 gigahertz. It's super high frequency, super high data rate. In fact, 5G is also aiming at this frequency. So bandwidth is going to be a lot higher, but you see also that the transmission is very directional, a little bit sensitive to the antenna design, okay, and very sensitive in case there's mobility. All right. Wi-Fi, interesting development there. AL2.11AD.
Quick survey. Do you have a Wi-Fi AP at home? In the dorm? Which version are you using? AL2.11? N? AX? AC? Or I don't know. AL2.11N? I think some of you might still be using the N version. No? Not sure? Not sure. Okay, go back and let me know, right? I'll post it on Slack. N, ACAX, very common these days. AD, I think you can buy the AL2.11AD already. But there are not many devices that receive signals from AD. Just like 5G, right? You need iPhone 12 at least, right, to receive 5G signals. So it's up to your network interface card whether it's capable of taking signals from N, AX, AC.
The last one, okay, wide area wireless access actually meant, so 1 megabits per second, this is for 3G, okay. For 4G, we get slightly more than 1, sometimes go a few megabits per second. With 5G, you get easily tens of megabits per second and sometimes very close to 100, but only downlink. I have not yet seen any sort of measurements about 5G uplink bandwidth. It would be very interesting to know if you find any. Okay. But although these bandwidths we're talking about, downlink, uplink, it's increasingly higher and higher even for wireless access. But be very careful. As opposed to Ethernet, as opposed to optic, wireless is, after all, shared access. So these 400, 600, 900, or close to tens of megabits per second bandwidths are shared among all the users. And nowadays, we are probably connected to the network more through wireless access network, okay, than the wired one. To sum things up, we've talked about 5 access networks: DSL, cable modem, and the very powerful FTTH, the optical network, to allow all the data, not just text-based, but audio-video data, to traverse. And it's replacing the traditional phone network, replacing the traditional cable TV network. We also talk about Ethernet access and the very, very popular wireless access. Now, all these 5 are access network technologies. These 3 definitely use a lot more for residential access. These 2 definitely use a lot more for institutional and mobile access. But nowadays, in a household, as the demand of using internet is on the rise and there are a lot more end systems are connected to the internet at home, having just one particular access network to enable multiple machines to go online at the same time is really challenging. So we have a hybrid access network in a way. In this example I'm showing, this is very typical home setting. Cable modem here is to access to the internet for the household entirely. But after the cable modem, we have what? An Ethernet switch here, okay, which is also called a router, which also runs the firewall functionality. This guy here would allow, for example, these PCs to connect through Ethernet cable to it. Yeah, these PCs are accessing internet using Ethernet switches. And the switch here can also connect to a Wi-Fi AP, and so that these laptops are accessing Ethernet through Wi-Fi. So in just this example, you have devices accessing the internet through different access net technologies. And be a little bit careful when I ask what is the access network for a particular computer. It can be relative, right? So this guy here is through Wi-Fi, this guy here is through Ethernet. But if I ask, how is this household accessing the internet? Yeah, the access network used by the household entirely is the cable modem.
So the key point here is that which is your access net really depends. Okay, it's relative. All right, so this is pretty much what I want to talk about, and we don't have time for the next segment, which is talking about the physical media. Okay, so these access network all use some sort of communication links, the cables, the material of the cable, the physical characteristics of these cables. Okay. That video segment is going to be longer than 8 minutes. So what I would do now is let's review a little bit some of the terms that we mentioned and see how you discover looking up on the web. And then we open the floor for questions, answers, and Polly will be here to answer the questions. So let's go over these terms. Okay. First of all, the first access net technology is what? DSL. But it is better known these days as ADSL. Okay, so the A there is to indicate that in DSL, downlink, uplink bandwidth, different bit rates. Okay, asymmetric bit rates. So A there is asymmetric digital subscriber line. Okay. And the last side, home network gets complicated because home network gets large as well. Pretty much the scale of an institution, a small institution, so to speak. So home network gets complicated and moving towards institution. Napster, Bitcoin, and Tor. Have you guys dig something up about these? No? No time? It's okay. In case there's any questions, feel free to type it up, okay, on Slack, or just raise your hand and ask. If not, then feel free to go. Okay, I'll see you on Thursday. And before that, I will see if I can get the projector fixed. Alright, for the guys online, yeah, I'm gonna just close the stream. Alright, have a good day. Oh, by the way, I see. Okay, so I'll take a picture of the blackboard and paste it on Slack somewhere. Good.